Hello and welcome back. This is Dr. Andy with another video. You know, I never had a student named Gilligan, nor Skipper. I never taught a student named Thurston or Lovey. I did have a student named Ginger. I, of course, was the professor. But today's video is about my student named Marianne. Here's the setting. Marianne took my winter 2012 Technicultural Studies 191 Writing Across Media class. In this class, I taught my students how to pair texts that they would write with video, with art, with photography, with music, with animation. We wrote clear across media, just as you'd expect from the title of the class. Well, my student Marianne, she was a favorite. She worked hard. She came to office hours. She took advantage of the free mentoring, the free support offered by Dr. Andy in office hours and implied through conversations in class. Well, this particular student, Marianne, was facing a challenge in the summer of 2012. The challenge was that she and her partner on a creative project that I'll tell you about in a moment, they were desperate to show it to an audience. Not an audience of professors. I myself had gone to see Marianne's work and the work of many of her colleagues at an artistic open house in the art studio, the Art Annex building at UC Davis, and not an audience of peers. Peers who were equally artistic, transgressive, creative, ambitious, and who were equally desperate for an audience. No, they wanted an audience of strangers. They wanted to try their project out on somebody new, someone unawares, someone unassuming, a group of people who might attend, for instance, a poetry reading. Well, as Dr. Andy, the host and co-founder of the Poetry Night Reading Series, now 20 years strong, I had such an audience, even in the summertime. So my student, Marianne, was desperate to get her project in front of such an audience. I told her, Marianne, I'd be glad to meet with you, but my schedule is different this quarter. I'm not holding office hours. I'm not teaching this summer. I'm knee-deep in administrative duties, and I have few bonus windows of availability in my week. What a lamentable problem. But then I realized that I was hosting a pub quiz at Vere's Irish Pub, 217 East Street here in the city of Davis, in an authentic-looking Irish pub filled with mementos, paintings, playbills, and books representing the cultural life of the Vere family and the Vere White family. I was holding a pub quiz there every Monday night. So I said to Marianne, you know, you and your friend, you and your artistic colleague, you can stop by Vere's on Monday around 9 p.m. as the pub quiz is finishing up. I could meet with you then. Well, reader, they took me up on it. They said, Dr. Andy, we'll do it. And did it? They did. We met, we talked, we laughed. I gave them advice about scope, about ambition, about clarity, and about the technological and, I guess, networking affordances and limitations of the John Natsoulas Gallery, where I was and where I continue to be the host of the Poetry Night Reading Series. Well, They brought their project. We negotiated that they would get 10 minutes instead of 5, 2 performers. They would go right after the ukuleleist. Gary Salin played the ukulele twice a month at Poetry Night during that era. It was a highlight of the open mic. So they performed after the ukuleleist. And let me tell you, dear viewer, there was poetry, there was photography, there were visuals, there were animation, and there was a little bit of performance. Although they didn't expect it, my audience, they loved it. And as well they should have. What other poetry series in town? Well, A, exists at all, but B, what other poetry series in the greater Sacramento Valley, let's say, can offer this creative mix of technology and culture? Only one, Poetry Night at the John Natsoulas Gallery. So, were Marianne and her artistic colleague, her co-performer, were they changed? Yes. They came away with new insights. They came away with a deeper understanding of how to meet the aesthetic needs and interests of people who were not technoculturists. And they figured out how to negotiate with me, with De Vere's Irish Pub, and with the John Natsoulas Gallery in setting up an ambitious event at Poetry Night. Good on you, Marianne. Well, typically that's where stories like this end. Did I mentor Marianne? Yes, I did. Did I get to work with her later when she was a student employee at Academic Technology Services? Yes, I did. But then she moved away, first to Berkeley, then to San Francisco, then to San Diego. And quite reasonably, I didn't expect to see her again, nor did I need to see her again. My job is not to keep in constant contact with my students, despite what you might think about how some of these stories end, but rather to launch the students, to send them out into the world. If they're technocultural, then they become technocultural professionals. If they are taught by me to be journalists, then they become journalists. They need to outgrow the master, outgrow the mentor, as both Ulysses and Telemachus did, and as Marianne did. So you think that that would be the end of it? Well, that was in 2012. Fast forward 5 years. August of 2017. My wife and my 3 children were down in San Diego. And on a whim, I messaged Marianne a picture of the deep dish pizza we were having. And I told her, surprisingly, your Chicago deep dish pizza here in San Diego is pretty good. My Chicago wife even calls it authentic. Good for you and your city, Marianne. She laughed over this, we exchanged messages, and then she said, if you're going to be in Balboa Park tomorrow, I would gladly give you a tour of the museum where I work. She had such a cool job. Well, turns out the next day, we were in Balboa Park. There is so much to do in Balboa Park. In San Diego, San Francisco has Golden Gate Park. Washington, D.C. has Rock Creek Park. New York City has Central Park. And San Diego, Balboa Park. So I reached out to Marianne and said, we'll be there at 2. Will we find you at the front door? She said, just call me. So, viewer, she gave us a tour of her museum. It was her way After all the support and the platforming and the mentoring and the teaching that I offered my student Marianne, as her professor, it was a way that she could say thank you. Well, thank you, Marianne, for participating without your knowledge or permission in this project. I hope you're continuing to impress people as you impressed me. My name is Dr. Andy, and this is one of 365 remembrances of my students that I've taught at the University of California, Davis over 36 and a half years. I hope you'll stick around for all of these stories. They may not all be wrapped up in a pleasant bow like this one, but they will all be a part of entries in the diary of a quizmaster. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.